Behold, I have given you every herb-bearing seed. To you it shall be for food. Genesis 1:29. Man did eat angels' food. He sent them meat to the full. Psalm 78:25. Everyday Manna with Lisa.
Hi everybody, and welcome to Everyday Manna. Today we are going to be making zucchini boats. We're going to make a low-carb garlic bread and some sauteed spinach, and it is going to be wonderful. We're actually going to get started on the zucchini boats first. Now, I have my oven preheated to 375 degrees, and I've got some zucchini. I went ahead and did 2 of them, so you know we could just get this in the oven. And I have just a medium-sized zucchini, and you want to cut it in half, and then take a melon baller or a spoon or whatever you have. You want to scoop out the inside, but now you want to leave a little bit of a edge, a little shell, if you will, but we're going to scoop out the insides of the zucchini. And you can save this for another use. You could use it, make zucchini bread out of it, or, you know, whatever you needed to do with it. It freezes beautifully. Just put it in an airtight bag and put it in the freezer, and then you can make some zucchini bread, or just saute it and eat it, whatever you want to do. But you want to get, you know, the flesh of the zucchini out. You want to just leave a shell. So that's about what you want. You want it to be, maybe 1/4 of an inch in width all the way around, and save that again for another use. Whoop, nope, I got one more. Hang on. Got ahead of myself. Let's get this one scooped out. And we're gonna actually use this as our base for our meatballs. We're gonna make some meatballs to go in here. This is a very low carb recipe. So for those of you out there that are watching your carb intake, or you're a diabetic, I know I've said it before, but that is the #1 request I get and have always for years, is to do low carb recipes. I hesitate to give carb counts for those of you out there that want me to give the nutritional information. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to tell you that it is very low in carbs. Reason being, I am not a dietitian. I am not a nutritionist, and I'm not going to, give out information like that. But just know it is very, very low carb. Now, you want to sprinkle these boats, if you will, or zucchini shells, with some salt, some pepper. We want to flavor it up because zucchini is rather mild and bland in flavor, but it really can handle some pretty assertive seasonings. This is some red pepper flake, and any that you don't put in the bottom of your shells, we can put in our meatball mixtures fine. This is some Italian seasoning and some garlic powder. We are going to be using some fresh garlic, but we also are going to be using some garlic powder. And then drizzle that with some olive oil. And we're going to put these in the oven, for about 15 minutes or so, until we get our meatballs ready to go. So let's pop this in the oven to bake for about 15 minutes or so, just to soften up those shells. The new Everyday Manna set is coming along, and we will have an oven that's higher. Can't wait to get that ready for you. Now, I'm just going to put the rest of my ingredients in my meatball mixture because I did not use them all on the zucchini. Just a little bit of each one of those ingredients because we're going to mix it all together anyway. You want to have 1 egg. I'm going to actually get my little skillet here preheating because I am going to brown. We're going to get our meatballs browned before we finish the dish. Just lightly beat your egg before you add it to the meat mixture. Now I have 1 clove of fresh garlic that is peeled, And I'm going to just mince this up. You could use a garlic press if you wanted to. This has a much brighter, stronger flavor than your powdered garlic. You could use the pre-chopped if you wanted to, out of the grocery store. I use that a lot for different things. There is a chemical in your garlic that gets released. It's called allicin when you chop it, and that adds that bright flavor that fresh garlic gives. Now I need some fresh parsley. This particular branch of parsley is very leggy, so I'm gonna have to kind of take my time and get the leaves off. That's all they had in the store this time. I mean, you don't have to get all of the little stems off there, but you don't want these thicker stems. They just are not, they're chewy and they're just not flavorful. You want about half a cup of fresh parsley in total. I like my parsley to be a little more compact than this was at the store. This is all they had. So we'll work with it. Now, of course, those of you at home can take your time and get more of the stem out of there if you want to, but for sake of this show, I'm not going to do that. I won't make you sit and watch me de-stem parsley for 15 minutes. All right, let's turn that down a little bit. That gets hot quick. Now, I want to chop this parsley. We gather it up, go one direction, gather it, take your knife, and just go over your fresh parsley. This adds flavor to the meatball mixture. This is Italian parsley. If you can't, I can't imagine that you can't find it. But if you can't, you can use the curly parsley. I personally don't like it as much. I don't think it has as much flavor as the flat leaf parsley. Just be careful when you are buying your parsley because cilantro looks an awful lot like the flat leaf parsley. Totally different flavor. So make sure that you are getting parsley and not cilantro. I use it in so many dishes. It is not just a garnish, my friends. It does have quite a bit of flavor. You want to mince it, you know, kind of fine. And then add that to your ground beef mixture. And I have ground chuck because I want to have a little bit of that fat in there. Because it really, you know, the leaner ground beef really just, it's tough. But if you get something with a little bit of fat in it, it really adds a lot of flavor. Now, I am using all ground chuck, but if you wanted to mix like half and half ground pork, then you could. You know, the traditional meatloaf mixture, if you will, is ground pork, ground beef or chuck, and ground veal. I personally don't eat veal, so I don't use it, but you can if you do. That's up to you. So we're just gonna get some oil in this pan. Although it is a non-stick, I still like a little bit of oil in there. I'm using a meatball scoop or an ice cream scoop, a small one. But you don't have to do this if you don't want to. I'm just gonna roll these and then get them in the oil to kind of brown. We're not worried about cooking them through because they are gonna go into the oven. But I like to just drop them in as I'm working. And you're gonna need like 3 or 4 per zucchini boat. This will make a lot of meatballs. This is a great recipe, by the way, the meatball recipe, if you wanna just do spaghetti and meatballs. This is a great meatball recipe. And if you don't need all of your meatballs that you've made, freezes beautifully. And then the next time you want to make this dish, you've got prepared meatballs. They're full of flavor. And you can freeze them. You can either cook them and freeze them or freeze them raw and then thaw them and proceed on with your spaghetti if that's what you want to do. But we're going to make the zucchini boats with them today. Meatballs are a good thing to have in the freezer. They're handy. They're really not that hard to make. I'm not using any of a bread mixture in this. I know traditionally meatballs do have a binder of some sort of breadcrumb. So I'm just going to finish scooping up these meatballs and browning them on both sides. Take the zucchini out of the oven, and when you come back and join me, we will finish assembling all of this and get it in the oven. I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, now we're just browning off our meatballs, and I pulled out the zucchini out of the oven. They're not cooked through because they're going to go back in the oven. All right, so you want to just kind of line them up in there, get them filled up, 3 or 4 per. Just take, it's easier if you've got like 2 forks to just get the meatballs out. You want 3 or 4 per zucchini boat. That's why we browned them right there. You see that wonderful flavor there? That's deliciousness. Ooh. Popping oil up here. You just want to get them in the little zucchini boat. Let me turn that down just a little bit because I'm getting splattered. All righty. And again, if you don't use all the meatballs, you can freeze them. They're delicious frozen. You do have to treat these a little more gently because you remember we did not put any breadcrumbs to act as a binder. We are just using the egg because, again, we're doing low carb. If you wanted to put some the low carb bread in here, you could. Or maybe some almond flour or some coconut flour to help bind. You could do that. Okay, but we're going to bake these. I know they're not cooked through. That's okay, because we're going to put them back in the oven. And I'm just going to let the rest of these simmer, and we'll serve them alongside it. Let's see. Let's put one more in that one. And maybe one more in that one. And one more in that one, and I think that'll be good. Okay? Now, what you want to do is whatever your favorite jarred sauce is, let me stir that up just a little bit. I typically use one that has no sugar added. This particular brand, which is Rayo's, I really like. And it only has, let's see, half a cup only has 4 carbs. So, you know, as far as pasta sauces go, that's pretty good. Now, make sure that you get the low carb or sugar-free if you're watching your carb intake. You have to read the labels. That you do have to do. Okay? That's it. We're going to pop that back in the oven and let that go for about 20 minutes. I'm just going to get this in the oven. After about 15 minutes of baking, just trying to get them all covered, I'm going to take some mozzarella cheese and sprinkle over, and a little bit of Parmesan cheese and sprinkle over. Well, we got to get this back in the oven for about 15 minutes. Alrighty, now our zucchini boats are in the oven and we are gonna make a low carb garlic bread. This is so easy to do. What you wanna do is take about 2.5 cups of shredded mozzarella and about 2 ounces or so of cream cheese in a microwavable bowl. Put it in the microwave for about 2 minutes, and what you get is a melted, delicious, oh, I could just eat that right there, but we're not yet. So we're gonna set that to the side. You need 3 eggs. And y'all know my mama said to make sure that you do them in separate bowls. So I'm gonna crack separate bowls to make sure I don't have a bad egg. Because I actually did get one a while back. Never in my whole life had one, but I did finally get one. So she was right. I'm just gonna beat these. You want your cheese mixture to be warm, not hot, because you don't want to scramble the eggs. That's not what we're going for. Okay, we're gonna stir that in. We're gonna put in some baking powder, some salt, some coconut flour. Remove that speck of parsley and some almond flour. Okay, we're gonna stir that all together till all that mixture is incorporated. You can just use a flat spatula-like thing like I'm doing. Just get in there and get those flours mixed into that cheese mixture. And you do have to use a little bit of elbow grease here. Cut into it. You just want to make sure it's all incorporated into the cheese. That's why the cheese needs to be warm, but not hot, okay? Just get all of that incorporated, and if you need to put it out on your board, go ahead. Use clean hands to kind of knead it all in there. It's fine. Just want to get it all incorporated into the cheese mixture. In this dish right here, I have some Italian seasoning and grated Parmesan cheese. Okay, once you get your mixture, now this is not going to be smooth like a bread dough would be. Take whatever you want. I'm going to use a big ice cream scoop. Okay, roll it into balls. Then roll it in that cheese mixture. And then you want to have like a pie pan or a cake pan and spray it with non-stick cooking spray. The reason I'm using a scoop is so that my bread rolls are all the same size. Okay? Because you know, you just got to have garlicky bread with your Italian meals. You just do. I like to, you know, kind of have them touching there. And then you need to chill this mixture in the refrigerator for about 15 minutes to let the flours hydrate before you bake. Okay? So I'm just going to roll these up, get them in that mixture. Got probably 2 more here. Already smells good. It's not even cooked. You just want to, you're going to have to kind of press that to get that cheese mixture in there. We'll just make this one. That one looks a little small, so we'll add a little more to him. Now this doesn't have yeast or anything like that in it. This is kind of a low-carb, friendly, cheesy garlic bread. I'm going to add that little bit to that one because he looked a little bit small. Okay, we're going to just pop the rest of this over top, because you don't want to waste that cheese. All right, I'm gonna pop this in the refrigerator. I'm gonna let it set for about 15 minutes. Preheat my oven to 400 degrees. I'm gonna take a quick break, clean up. When I come back, we're gonna put this in the, after 15 minutes, I'm gonna put it in the oven, not covering it or anything. I'm just gonna pop it in the oven for about 15 minutes or so. And then we'll make our garlic part to go over to brush it when it comes out of the oven. I'm gonna take a quick break, clean up. When I come back, we're gonna finish the garlic topping and some sauteed spinach. I'm also gonna pop some cheese on our zucchini boats. I'll be back in just a minute. Alrighty, now our rolls are almost done. In this pan, I have just some melted butter. I'm melting some butter. And I'm adding a couple of cloves of garlic to the hot butter because I really want that garlic to, you know, kind of mellow just a little bit. And I got a pastry brush here, and we want to combine those two things. The heat from the butter and the skillet, of course, will kind of soften that, the bite of the garlic. That's it. You just really want to melt that and kind of soften that up a little bit. Take that raw edge off. Just a little bit. And when we get those out of the oven, we're going to brush this mixture over top. Now, we're going to make a side dish of sauteed spinach, which is easy. So I've got here my large nonstick skillet. I'm going to zest an orange. I always have to feel to see an orange, a lemon. I have to see which way the little grater goes on here. And I bought myself a new tool to juice the lemon. We're going to use this together for the first time. I haven't used it yet. I've never used it. And we're going to find out if it's good. So I'm going to cut my lemon in half. I'm going to add my butter to my skillet. Let that be melting. This little juicer. I saw it and I was like, let's try that. See if it's good. You gotta line that little thing up in the hole there. And you just take your half of your lemon or orange or whatever you're doing, and you push it down over that. It traps the seeds and you can measure your juice. I like it. I don't know if I like it better than the little clamp thing. Does seem to get more juice out though. Got it on Amazon. By the way, it's OXO brand. Okay. That's 2 tablespoons. That's a pretty good little trick. Okay. Let's put some spinach in here to start wilting, and I'm going to grab the bread out of the oven. This just takes a minute. Spinach does not take long at all to cook. I like to add it in, I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil. Crush some garlic here. Add it a little at a time because it does need to melt down. Let me grab our bread. Need 2 hands for this. Oh, my friends, look at this. Doesn't that look marvelous? And let's take our garlic mixture and brush over those rolls. Oh my goodness, that looks yummy. while they're hot. You want to do this while they're hot. Oh, look at that. That looks good. Okay, let's finish up our spinach. Set this to the side. Stir my spinach. Love sauteed spinach. It's a quick, easy, healthy side dish. Just add it a little bit at a time. I need my tongs. Find some tongs. There we go. These are my big long ones. Turn that down just a little bit. See how fast it wilts? You know, you start out with what looks like a lot, and you end up with not so much. Okay, we're gonna add a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Let's mince up some garlic. Our zucchini boats are done. They're right there, and oh, they look so good. Get my spot cleared up here. You could use pre-minced garlic if you wanted to. You can also add a little bit of kosher salt, and it really just kind of gives it something to grip on, and we'll make a little paste. Just take the flat side of your knife and rub it like that, and it just helps to break down the cell fibers or the cells of the garlic.